listening to Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hello.
Hey.
I'm sure you guys are excited to see a message from the universe in your podcast feed today.
It has been quite a while.
Yes. So 5 months. It was August that we did this last before our hiatus. So
that's longer than even I think I realized.
Yeah. It's been 5 months since you've had one from us anyway. I'm sure you've had them from the universe itself. It's trying to talk to you every day in case you didn't know. But you might not be paying attention. So this is like let's hit you over the head with it. Because it's called Message from the Universe. Okay. But before we get into that, I mean, I could talk about lots of things. I could talk about how this was supposed to have been an expert interview and it didn't work out. And I'm like, great. The universe wanted to give you a message. It did not want you to hear that interview. It wanted you to hear this. So
you're trusting the timing of this. It always lands right when it's supposed to.
I'm shuffling my cards. Hold on. I have to do this for you every time. Okay. But we could talk about that. We could talk about the fact that we are in the middle of our coaching enrollment period right now, which I will talk about later. But just so you remember, that is happening. But what I really want to talk about is first, and I want you to consider this as part of the message from the universe today, as I feel very strongly compelled to share it. I wish I had talked about this in our episode last week, where we talked about like 6 more ways to get a job that you love. I don't remember what I called it. Whatever. It's the one right before this one on your podcast feed. What I really wish I had talked about is that I want you guys to treat your life like you are the protagonist of your story. And I want you to remember the plight of a protagonist. Why am I thinking about this? Because I've been watching Lord of the Rings. Extended editions, homie. So I watched Lord of the Rings.
That's a commitment too.
12 hours at least.
I know because my high school boyfriend made me watch them in a weekend. It was the longest weekend ever.
Yeah, one time I'd come back from like a chorus trip in high school, and I think Return of the King had just come out on DVD, and my brother was like, I got home and he pulled me down into the basement and was like, we are watching this. And I'm like, I have not slept in too long. I am so tired. But I was like, do it for him. And I'm so glad I did, because what a nice memory that is to make him happy. So anyway, I've been watching Lord of the Rings, and I actually watched them, not the extended editions, 2 years ago, I think. It was around this time of year, a couple of years ago. There is something about a new year that makes me go, time for some hobbits.
Just like summertime makes me want to reread Harry Potter.
Yes, there's something about
these times of year.
So I think this is why Lord of the Rings is very earnest. It's very, it's just like your classic hero's journey.
It's an epic tale.
It is an epic tale, but it is so hopeful because there's so much crap that these characters go through, especially poor Frodo. Like, he is this tiny little guy and he doesn't have any special powers. And he's been entrusted with the hardest task that no one else will take because they don't trust themselves to do it. Because they're like, I have too much power. If I do this, I'm going to get corrupted. You're like a pure, innocent little guy. You have no powers. You're tiny. And you've been entrusted with this task. That's huge. I feel like it's a very hopeful message. And there's a lot of really, 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 really great messages in Lord of the Rings. So anyway, I've been watching extended editions. It took me about a week to finish them, I think. Which is actually pretty impressive. And I was watching like little bits every day. And I finished them. I don't think I've watched extended editions since I was in high school. So like there were things I didn't remember at all, which was fun. Or maybe things I've never even seen, which was fun. Also, listen, this is a side tangent, but side tangent isn't redundant, but whatever. you start out in high school as a Legolas gal, and then once you're a grown woman, you could give a shit. You're like Aragorn all day, every day. Oh my God. I'm like, wow, why didn't I not appreciate Viggo Mortensen to the extreme when I was 15? But I'm appreciating him now, let me tell you. Anyway. Okay. So that's not the point, though. I could lust after, fictional characters all day long, and have and will continue to off of this podcast. I just feel like when we're so good at appreciating a good story, like all of us. I don't care if you're not into Lord of the Rings. I'm sure you're into something. You're into some really good book or some really good show or some really good movie or series. And we really, really, really love stories. Humans love stories. This is how we impart information on people. It's how things get passed down. It's how we teach children.
And frankly, the higher highs and lower lows in the story, the more we like it.
The more we like it. And yet, we hate when our lives resemble a good story. We don't like when we are Frodo,
in the challenging times,
which is most of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
he has a good time for 20 minutes, and then the rest of it is just shit until the very end. And even then, he has PTSD. So we don't appreciate that. We don't appreciate the fact that there's a lot of struggle in a very good story, and there's so many dark nights of the soul. There's so much uncertainty, and yet it's because of those things that then by the end, we're sobbing when we've watched a really good story. I'm still crying. I was still crying. I have seen this before. I am still crying when Sam is telling Frodo, not to give up. And when he's carrying him because Frodo can't do it himself anymore. I'm still crying. I'm still crying when Aragorn is like, you don't bow to anyone. And then Aragorn and everyone else bows to these little hobbits, sobbing, absolutely sobbing. I wish that we could do that for ourselves.
The struggle ends up making the story satisfying.
Yes.
If you read a story and everything is pleasant and content, and
it's so boring.
What is the point of that story? You're not engaged. You don't care what happens to those people. Everything's just very level. Now, it's understandable that you want your life to be more of that level. We don't need our lives to resemble Lord of the Rings quite to that degree. That's a lot.
No.
But we have our own moments of the dark night of the soul, or the questioning, or a really big challenge that we're afraid and we have to have some courage, and we don't like those parts, but it does make for a really satisfying life story that we will ultimately be glad we went through, and stronger because of it, and wiser because of it. So I'm not asking you to like that part, but there can be a level of appreciation that this is not for no reason. This is not, I don't need to buck against the struggle, because this is making for ultimately a really good life story.
A rich one, a satisfying one. I was just like, oh God, people should really rewatch, or reread Lord of the Rings. The books really never did it for me. The movies really brought it to life in a way for me. You need to be able to be reminded by something pure that like that scene where Frodo is like, I wish the ring had never come to me. And Gandalf was like, so does everyone who lives to see such times, but that's not for them to decide. The only thing you have to decide is what to do with the time that's been given to you. That's some solid fucking advice. And what I want you guys to do, what I want you to take, sort of the medicine that I want you to take from this is, I want you to revisit something or watch it for the first time, something that you love. It could be Harry Potter. It could be Lord of the Rings. It could be anything
your
that
favorite
has a bit
epic
of
tale.
Epic tale. The more epic, the better. Star Wars.
Oh, sure.
Anything that's a good epic tale that has a classic hero's journey, book, movie. And I want you to not just watch it for entertainment. I want you to watch it as if you're studying it for how to live life.
I'm going to throw Avatar in there. It's one of my favorites.
Freaking love Avatar. Let's not get started. We did watch that over the break, and we were very happy, so happy to be back in that world. We didn't care what we were watching. We could have watched a 90-minute nature documentary of just the water world, and we would have been so happy.
That's what I want. I want a documentary series about
how do they reproduce
the lives
Like, how do they weave baskets?
I don't care
Tell
about the
me.
battle with the humans.
I really don't care.
The story means nothing to me. I just want to live in that world.
But like the themes of like family and just
I shouldn't say it means nothing to me. It does. It does. But the battles mean nothing to me. I just want to live in that world.
It's like when we went to the movies with my brother, when we were we saw one of the Star Wars. We saw either Attack of the Clones. It was probably Attack of the Clones. And when I was in middle school and he was probably still in elementary school, and he would get so bored during all of the like Anakin Padme like pining scenes and like, oh, we're having a picnic. And then of course, when there was a battle, he would sit up in his chair and he would like put his hands on the armrest as if they were like controllers to fly an X-Wing. And he was literally making the noises like in the movie theater.
That's hilarious.
So anyway, yeah, like
I'm the opposite. I get bored of the battle.
I'm just like,
give me the love story. Give me the interpersonal dynamics. Yes. That's what I'm here for.
Yes, like can this be over faster? Which is impressive that I watched the extended version of Lord of the Rings. That is impressive. Because there's a lot of battles and a lot of orcs. But then there's also sweaty Aragorn. So that's what I pay attention to during the battles.
There's something for everyone.
Always something for everyone. They know what they're doing when they cast these movies. Anyway, so I want you to watch it as like Kristen and I recently discovered through one of my former clients who's probably listening to this right now. Hello. The art of bibliotherapy. I didn't know this was a thing. And it's specifically about fiction books. It's not about self-help books. It's a therapist who gets sort of certified in this separate art of bibliotherapy will prescribe books to you as like medicine to help you process something that you're going through.
How did I not know this was a job? This is my
why
this
is
my
this not my
job?
Right. And so I'm kind of like, in a way, I'm bibliotherapist or cinematherapist. I don't know. I'm prescribing you to revisit something. It has to be fiction. It cannot be self-help. It cannot be a document. I don't even think it can be a documentary, because the point of a story is that it has an arc. It has a plot. It has characters that were defined. I'm not talking about the Real Housewives. There's no plot to that. Okay. There's no epic tale. There's no struggle. There's no,
it needs to have a hero's journey. That's the point.
It needs to have a journey. I want you to watch it or revisit it. And I want you to think about how this applies to my life and where am I resisting certain parts of this journey? Like, where am I resisting my own character development? Like,
and what part of the journey am I in right now? Because it's cyclical. You're going to go through phases in life when you are really early on and there's that hopefulness. And then you're going to go through stages where this is the real challenge. This is the dark night when you want to quit the whole thing. You're going to have satisfying moments at the end, and then a whole new one's going to start. So you're going to be in a different phase at different moments. You might be in different phases in different areas of your life. Absolutely. Right? Like you might be in one journey on your career and a totally different journey in your relationship life or your parenthood life or whatever. And so think about it that way too. But think about, where am I potentially resisting my own character development? Like, where am I resisting the struggle? Where am I refusing the call? Which is something all heroes go through, by the way. They all deny it. They all don't want to do it. They all say, no, you take this. I don't want to do this. And then eventually they own up to it and they take it. Like, where are you afraid to challenge yourself? Where are you maybe copping out a little bit? I mean, not to call you out, but also to call you out a little bit. And who were my people along the way? Because a hero always has their team. Now, they could never have gotten there without them. Exactly. I have to remind you of that. There is a part that most heroes have to do alone. But again, what I friggin' love about Lord of the Rings is Sam is like, I know that you have to carry this, but I can carry you. Yeah. And like, he never did it alone. He had his best friend with him the whole time, who was loyal as the day was long. And he had all these other guys who were supporting him. And he had freaking Gandalf. Everybody always has to have their wise mentor figure. And what I like about coaching now, not to compare myself to Gandalf, but I'm going to do it. I like being that figure in people's lives. In some people's lives, I'm a Sam. In some people's lives, I aspire to be an Arwen. In some people's lives, I'm a Gandalf. And I enjoy that role. I enjoy being like, I can't do this for you, but I can help you. And I can give you wisdom that you might not have had. I've guided a lot of people through this journey. Yes. I know I can guide you as well. I've lived thousands of years in comparison. I mean, not literally, but it feels like I have. We've lived thousands of years with how many stories we have dived into.
Yes, really.
For a
so
decade
many
of
lives.
coaching many hundreds of people, really thousands with our courses. Yeah, that to me feels like the equivalent of living thousands of lives.
Yeah. So if I really don't bring that up just to plug coaching, like I really wanted to tell you this, even if we weren't in a coaching enrollment period, because it felt really relevant and I want you guys to think about it. But we all are also just happen to be taking on new clients right now. And so if that is something you're attracted to, like, yeah, I don't just want to pragmatically, like, if you want more out of life than just, I need to figure out my career. It's like, I would like to be the protagonist of my own story. I would like my story to have momentum. I would like something to be happening in my story.
My life, I want to look back and say, wow, that was a wild ride, but I'm so glad I took it.
And I'm proud of the journey that I've been on. And I'm glad I didn't say no. And I didn't refuse the call. And I challenged myself and I got through hard times and I learned how to weather resistance and struggles. And I came out on the other side victorious. Like, if that's the story you want to tell, then you have to live a different life than some of you might be living right now. And you have to be thinking differently and feeling differently than some of you are feeling right now.
To do it alone. And in fact, you can't.
Very hard to do that alone. So that's what we are for. If you would like to talk to us about, like, obviously most people find us because they're unsatisfied with their career in some way. And that's the branch that we start on, but it's not where we stop. It's just usually the reason, the catalyst that people find us is they're lacking purpose or they're feeling really stuck in their career and they don't know what direction to turn. And so it becomes the entry point through which we then get to the root of this tree, where we're talking about not just your career, but who are you? What do you want? What's getting in the way of you realizing your potential? Where are you stuck? And you don't even have an iota of awareness that this is blocking you.
Your career is one facet of your life, and it might be one that takes up a lot of time and a lot of mental energy, especially if you're not that happy with it. But you can already see how your dissatisfaction or your questioning about your career is impacting every other area of your life. Guess what happens when you get really clear on who you are and what you want in a career sense? It impacts every other area of your life, directly, indirectly. Sometimes we directly have to shift focus and say, let's go to where the area of your life that needs the most attention. Because sometimes we're deflecting a little bit, and career dissatisfaction might be an indicator of something else that's deeper. Sometimes we don't even have to talk through it in coaching certain areas of your life for them to be positively impacted by the work we're doing.
Yeah.
The ripple effect is huge.
Because when your goal is to become the kind of person you most want to be, someone who's really clear and grounded and confident and able to weather challenges with grace and understanding, then it's only natural that your whole life is going to be positively impacted by being that kind of person and thinking differently. And then you'll make different choices and you'll have different opportunities come to you that you wouldn't have even recognized or been able to receive before because you weren't ready for them. Everybody wants to get the hero's result, but not everyone wants to go on the hero's journey. And if you want the hero's result, you got to be willing to go to Mordor and throw that ring in Mount Doom. That's all I'm saying.
So this is your reminder that we are open for taking on new clients for the next week.
Yeah, it's already been a week. And so we probably don't have all of our spots available. We only had about 10. So fill out a form if you want to talk to us about the possibility. clarityonfire.com/coaching or link in show notes. And just make sure you peruse the page. There's a chart that gets into like the options halfway down the page. Just look at it so you know what the basic deal is. And then we'll get into like the details with you. We would explain that over the phone and how some of the more nuanced stuff works.
Yep. Again, filling out a form does not mean I'm signing up.
No.
It means I want to have a serious conversation about this because I'm contemplating it in a pretty serious way. And one of us will chat with you and make sure it's a good fit before you actually move forward and fully commit.
Okay.
So now I'm curious how all that's going to tie into our message today. We have not drawn the cards yet, so we're going to draw them.
Oh, well, here's one.
Here.
All right. I think that one wants to be our first card. It just fell out.
Okay.
I'm not even going to split the deck. Actually, you know what? I don't think I'm going to split the deck. I'm just going to let two more cards approach me at will.
Okay. And as usual, we're going to draw 3 cards. And you get a choice on how you take in this reading today. So we have 3 cards. You could decide, I feel like the left card or the middle card or the right card is my message today, and I'm going to hone in on that one. You might take a full reading, all 3 cards together. And there's some different ways of interpreting a 3-card reading. You could look at it as past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm. Usually we do left to right, like the left card is the past, present, middle, future on the right.
You could also look at it as the left card is my current situation. The middle card is what action I should take in this situation.
Yeah. The situation could be a problem or an issue or something you want to resolve or that you're confused about or you don't know what to do about. The middle card would be, all right, here's your advice about what to do and actions you should take.
And then the right card is, what result can you expect? What outcome can you anticipate as a result of the action you're taking?
Okay. So,
all right. So
feel into
Rachel
that.
has drawn 3 cards.
Yeah. You can pause if you need to think about, like, do I want feedback on something particular, or do I just want to see what's on offer today and like just let the message be the message? Okay. So remember that this is the Enchanted Map deck. I love this deck because every time we either get the same cards or we see something we've never seen before. And I've had this deck for years now, and I still see cards. The other day I pulled a card for myself and I was like, never seen this. Where'd this come from? I feel like this deck breaks the matrix. Like, I feel like
it feels magical.
It feels like new cards are being added all the time.
And yet there's certain cards we've drawn I'm not getting like 8 times.
Yeah.
So it's
weird.
It just knows. It knows what you need to hear.
It really knows.
I trust it.
Now, the booklet will read either upright or reversal. So typically we only read the upright, but I'm going to say today, I might want you to read both versions so that people can hear sort of like each side of the coin and decide which version appeals to them most. Because the way I see it is going to be one way, and the way you see it from your vantage point is going to be the opposite. So
yep, we're sitting across from each other.
Yeah. So okay. I don't know why. I just feel like let's read both versions today, which will make this a little longer, but maybe more interesting.
And even if it's cards we've seen before, we haven't always read the reversal.
Exactly.
And that might make it land differently.
Yes. So, okay. Are you ready for card number 1, which is the left card, past, if you're going to interpret it that way, or maybe the situation or problem you find yourself in?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see what it is.
Bone Collector. It's the first card, number 1.
Wow.
That's number 1 is an interesting place to start. We have had this card before, but not in a long time. Okay, so let me describe it for a second. I'll take a picture. So it's this very old elfin lady who is sitting in the middle of what looks like a desert, but she's sitting in it looks like almost like a fire pit that's been extinguished. Like it's like a circle of rocks are surrounding her, little stones. And in the circle with her, she's got like this giant peacock feather. She's got a little rabbit. She's got a clock that's actually set at 2:00, just so you know. And there's some light and like almost like a wheel of time or something behind her head, like kind of like as a halo.
Interesting.
And she's got like bones hanging from the trees above her, like from a deer or a cow or something.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in this card. I will post a picture of it. So, okay, why don't we...
The description's a little long too, so then maybe that makes sense. So we're gonna...
Both versions are long? Okay, well, we're gonna read the upright and then we're gonna... I flipped it upright, but you're looking at it reversed. So we're gonna read both versions today.
Okay. And there is also always a little quote at the beginning of the card. And this time the quote is, "You are whole and have everything you need within." So here's the upright version. If you had drawn it and it was facing upright to your vantage point. When the Bone Collector appears, she is asking you to look closely at your circumstances to see if you're fully present or reacting out of past conditioning and unconscious expectations. Whenever we're wounded, especially when we're young, it's as if something essential is stolen from us. We adapt and accept a particular version of the truth that then sets us up to behave a certain way in the future when faced with a situation that reminds us of that original event. When we know what we know about ourselves, thus becomes influenced by a perception of limitation. You may feel unworthy or without courage. You may see yourself as flawed or unlovable or expect to be criticized. No matter what your question, the Bone Collector reminds you that the truth is that you are a powerful being with limitless possibilities. She has kept safe what was stolen from you in the wounding and is here for you as you reclaim it now. You have everything you believe you lack, and the Bone Collector is your inner resource. Act as if you have what you need, and you'll find that you have it after all. Anything is possible. With awareness, the wounds of the past need not define you. That's the upright.
Okay, great.
Let's see this from a different perspective. The past has a way of repeating itself when you haven't learned the lesson inherent in the original situation. You're faced with this now. The Bone Collector is here to challenge you to see yourself as a whole being and not one who is perpetually trying to heal an old wound. You'll repeat the past if you don't reclaim the things you believe were lost. The information you seek lies in your history. Familiarity, in this case, isn't an invitation to dance the old dance once again. Instead, it's a call to retreat and choose differently. The Bone Collector has a message. If you do what you did, you'll get what you got. Her warning is delivered with kindness, for she has deep love and respect for you. She will protect you.
Okay, wow. I like both interpretations of this a lot.
And there's a lot of emphasis on the past and healing, just looked at from a different perspective, whether you're looking at it upright or reversed. But
you have everything you believe you lack is such a good word. It might be my title of this episode, depending on what the other cards say.
And if you do what you did, you'll get what you got. So something's going to have to change if you want the past to look different than the future.
If you keep behaving as if you lack something, you're going to keep getting exactly what you've gotten. And so I think this is interesting, especially as like the number one card. It's like the first thing we do, this is so true of how coaching works too, is you go back and you examine the programming. You examine the family wounds. You examine the stuff that you think you lack, that you actually don't, that's actually inherent within you. Because if you do not address that first, it will define the next steps. So,
and you recognize that that's not really who I am. That's where I've been, but that's not the current me. And it certainly does not need to be the future me.
And this nice, very old elfin lady, and she's just smiling very kindly, has been holding everything we think we lack in trust for us. It's there. We don't miss it. We just need to reconnect and reclaim it, which I really like. Now, this could be a validation of work you've already done. If we're looking at this from the perspective of the past, this could be like, good job, you've done this. It could also mean this is if this is your current situation, this could be your current invitation is, I need to work on this more. I need to go and reclaim some of these fragmented parts of myself so that I can move forward and get different results.
Yep. It literally says you're faced with this situation now of recognizing that the past might be repeating itself. And if that feels
or has the potential to repeat itself if you keep going.
It has been and will continue to unless something changes, that something being you. This might be particularly timely. We are at the beginning of a new year. If you are looking ahead and saying, I'm seeing some patterns of my own habits or situations that I keep finding myself in, and I don't want that to be my reality moving into a new year or into a new phase of my life. This is a powerful awareness that you get to choose something different. You don't have to keep repeating the past. But if that feels familiar, that might be why it's popping up in this first spot is like, let's shine some awareness on this first and then figure out what to do about it.
Okay. Let's pull our next card, which is the middle card. It could be just, this is the card you want for your reading. This could be, all right, if that was the past, then this is the present. And it could be advice about what action to take, depending on how you want to interpret all of this. So I've never seen this one. Spirit of Place. Ooh. It's 4. So again, another elf. It's another elfin person.
It's because you were talking about Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. Of course. And it's like, it does look like a spirit. She has like elf ears and like a butterfly like coming off of her face almost. And she has,
oh yeah, it is. And there's
it's
leaves.
like a wing of a butterfly coming off of her eye. And it looks like she's almost like a tree or a rock that's coming to life. And she has these beautiful autumn leaves dancing around her head.
And her coloring is kind of muted.
Like it blends in with the landscape.
But the leaves are bright and vibrant.
Pop in. Very autumnal. Yeah. So it looks like she's almost like a wood nymph, right? Like in ancient Greek mythology, who would turn into a tree or a rock or something and then turn back into a nymph. That's the vibe I'm getting. So I'm so excited because I've seen the Bone Collector card. I'm not actually sure I feel like I've seen it. I don't know if we've ever read the Bone Collector on the podcast. Reading that one. But we've definitely never seen or read this one. So let's get into it.
Here's our little quote at the beginning. Authenticity is the essence of power. So the upright interpretation. Our ancient ancestors believed that every place has a spirit looking after it or embodying it. Just as we have a soul, the plants, trees, birds, mountains, and rivers have their own essences. When the spirit of place arrives in your reading, it says that the answer to your query is in the overarching theme of your circumstances. Is your question about a struggle?
LOL.
The answer is to relax and let go of your need to control the situation. If your inquiry relates to finding love, then embody love rather than long for it. Once you find the essential truth that underlies your question and then name it, you'll discover the answer you've been seeking. Your greatest power is your authenticity.
Wow. Interesting. Hold on. I need to sit with that for a second, because that's it's not like I didn't know this intellectually, of course, but just some of how that was phrased was very interesting.
The theme of your circumstances is the answer to your query.
Theme. Okay. Hold on. So the medium is the message. That's what we learn in communications class, like 101 in college. How you choose and the medium through which you share a message is a message unto itself.
And if you distill your question into its core essence, you can find the answer in the essence.
Yeah. So if I'm struggling with my health, then, and I'm trying to seek health, then how am I actually embodying it or not? Because I think a lot of the things we do to try to be healthy actually can be unhealthy.
Yeah. And this next, I'm looking ahead to the reversal, and I think this is going to add a little bit more clarification.
Let's read the reversal.
Don't get entangled in details or desires that obscure the truth of your situation. Step back and ask yourself, what is the real nature of my inquiry? Even exquisitely seductive hidden agendas cannot conceal this. Trust your intuition. The spirit of place is whispering in your ear. You hold the power to tell the truth, first to yourself, then to the world. You can always distinguish between an essence that is true and one that is synthetic. Be honest with yourself and remain willing to let your situation be revealed for what it really is and not what you want it to be. An apple can't become an orange, just as a dog can never be a bird. Are you trying to change someone or something to suit your agenda? Only when you see things as they truly are will you find the real treasure. Interesting. Interesting. So you have to very honestly look at your situation, look at the question that's plaguing you in order to get to that core of it. Instead of getting caught up in, what should I, if it's my health? Well, should I take this supplement or this supplement? Or should I go to this exercise class or should I go for walks? Instead of getting caught up in the details, zoom out and ask yourself, what is really at the core?
What am I seeking when I say I want more health? Do I want energy? Do I want to feel vitality? Do I want to feel alive? And like, how am I honoring that desire? Or am I not? Or if I want love, or you know what, let's talk about money, because I feel like we all want money. We all want love too, but
should I ask for a promotion? Should I start a business? Should I invest? How should I use my money? How should I make the money?
But the struggle has the answer inherent in it. So why are we struggling with money?
What I want to feel is freedom. I want to
Right.
feel choices. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel peace of
I
mind.
want to feel like I have more options. That's why I actually want money.
Mhm. And if we recognize the real root, you might be able to find some interesting answers for how.
That's a very good action step. Like,
Yeah.
as far as what to do, be very, very honest with what you really want. Like, what's the essence of what you want or your struggle, rather than the surface level details of what you think you want.
This was very clear guidance. It specifically says, don't get entangled in details. Step back and ask yourself, what is the real nature of my inquiry? You have clear action steps here. So if you are taking this reading in terms of what's the situation and then what do I do? Well, here's what you do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Interesting.
Plus, with the bone collector, it's like, here's probably a good, if you're not sure what the nature of your inquiry is, or you're not sure where you're getting tripped up, here's some clues as to go back to your past and examine some of the programming that might have you believing that the struggle is something different than it is, right? Like that
might help you identify the real theme.
Yes. Okay. Fascinating. All right, let's talk about the future / potential outcome of this situation, and or just the card on the right, if that's what you want your reading to be. 36, commitment. You know, I love this card. Okay.
I know we've gotten that one before,
but not in quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is a hand, and honestly, like, it looks like a bigger, like, guy hand and a smaller lady hand.
Those are lovers' hands.
Well, I mean, lovers can be any hands, Kristen.
Sure.
But like, I'm just saying, like, it looks like heteronormative hands.
The tenderness that they are touching each other.
Yes.
And there's hearts all around it. These are lovers' hands.
Yes. And there's like literally a magical, like, amount of light coming from the hands.
Like glitter dust.
And like stars and hearts and rose petals, maybe. Like, and then there's like a key that's sort of also falling away from, like, there's just,
interesting.
And it's the clouds.
It's like
and
a Harry Potter key with wings.
Yeah. And there's a tiny bit of like rainbow in the background. I mean, it couldn't look more magical.
Okay. Here is our little quote
to
kick us off. A true commitment is a responsibility of the heart, mind, body, and soul. This is a good time to make one. Okay. Let's hear our upright interpretation. Partnerships formed at this time are harmonious and powerful. The commitment card also indicates the natural evolution of a relationship from its inception to a literal or metaphorical marriage. At the very least, there's a promise of fulfillment in some form. However, you must be conscious of what you're committing to. Be clear about the nature of your commitment and your responsibility to it. Others are more willing to enter into partnerships at this time. Remember that your partnership with spirit and the highest version of your own self will engage the highest self in another. Okay. Go into the reversal. You may be walking into a commitment or contract that you will later regret.
Just in case you needed a totally different interpretation.
Okay. So this could be a really good time for commitments.
What I really like, before you keep reading, what I really like is that this is going to bother people who just want one answer. And you're going to have to use your intuition to discern which one of these is really the one that's for you.
Well, some of you are going to know right off the bat.
And I'm telling you, I always know. I always know which one I want to be my message. And I always know, God damn it, it's that one. Now, it's not always that.
No, true.
But if it is, I'm always like, I don't want it to be that. And I think it is. You got to be honest. You got to.
That was our middle card.
Yeah, you got to be really honest.
Actually, it was both cards. A lot of self-honesty.
That's true. Okay, sorry, continue.
All right. You may be walking into a commitment or contract you will later regret. This isn't a good time to sign agreements or make any choice that would tie you up for a long period. If you're in a relationship, you may not receive the commitment you desire. Don't despair, for something much better awaits you. Now is also the time for agreements to be broken. Remember that rejection is God's protection. What hurts you now leads to wisdom later.
Okay, I just had the most insane insight. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
There's two timelines happening here in this reading. The upright ones and the reversals. if you don't do the bone collector work, if you don't acknowledge the real spirit of your struggle, that will be your outcome.
You will end up in long-term relationships, contracts, agreements
that you don't want to be a part of.
That you're going to regret later.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you do the work of collecting them bones, reclaiming them, acknowledging the real spirit of your struggle and the essence of what, and not getting focused on details, the positive outcome is likely to happen of the commitment card. Again, partnerships,
people, contracts, situations, agreements, opportunities, joy that you are going to want to be in for a long time because they're healthy and satisfying.
Damn, Rachel. Sometimes I just have to congratulate myself. Because I really feel like it's just like we're looking at two potential parallel universes. This is your path. These are two paths that are open to you.
Essentially, you got to do that inner work, and particularly that inner honesty.
Which is what we started out saying with the Lord of the Rings stuff. Is like, where are you maybe refusing some of your own character development?
Or bucking against the truth of the situation because it's hard and it's struggle.
Or where are you getting bogged down in details when you need to zoom out and just trust that I don't need to be so focused on these little things. I believe that like I trust myself, or I trust the universe to support me. I don't need to figure out like, well, what if I did this and what if that happened? Like,
that's not your work. Your work is to zoom out and say, if I get really clear about what my question is, the answer is inside the question because the desire is inside the question. And that can lead me to the real answers of what I want. And then the outcomes that I want, which is feeling fully committed to all these different areas of my life that are going to support me as I move toward what I want instead of away from what I don't want.
And they're committed to me. Like, to me, commitment is sturdy. It's like, if I do the work, I'm going to be met with things and people and opportunities who have also done the work. And that creates for like a really solid, strong foundation.
Oh, this was a good one. This was a deep one, but this was a good one.
I just am so happy that I follow my gut every time we do this. And every time I'm like, let's do it a little bit differently. And every time
usually we
get the right answers.
Ignore the reversal side because we don't want to overcomplicate it. But sometimes
I just felt like it was the right thing to do today. And look at that.
So here you go. You're at a fork in the road. You can take either path.
Yeah.
But you're going to get a different outcome. That's for sure.
Yeah. And some of you have already wandered down one path. It's not too late to switch, or it's not too late to just keep going. Like, if you're already on the good path and you're just afraid the commitment thing isn't going to happen. It is.
It's funny that the first two cards, the upright and the reversal, weren't drastically different. They were new. They were a slightly different perspective or a different way of interpreting and viewing it, but they weren't complete opposites. But the outcomes were complete opposites.
Amazing. Love it. I think you guys should go back and listen to that again with that perspective of like, okay, one path, the other path. Here's what will happen if I go down this one. Here's what will happen if I go down that one. And the work that needs to be done to get there.
Here's the two paths I could take in 2023. Here's the two outcomes I can expect. I'm going to get real intentional which fork I choose. We would love to hear how this one lands with you.
And okay, so one of the reasons I really like doing this is because I love interpreting this type of stuff. It's so abstract, and I like helping make things that are really abstract a little more concrete for people. And so, you know how we've encouraged you in the past to send in your stories, like your message from the universe stories. Still love that. Send us stories if you have like really good, like, oh my gosh, the most synchronous thing happened. You won't believe it, Rachel, Kristen.
We can't get enough of those.
Share those. Email those to us at contact@clarityonfire.com. We totally would read them on a future message from the universe. I want to try something. I've been interpreting a lot of people's dreams lately. I am so good at it. Okay.
Rachel's very good at that.
That's very good at it.
I've been coming to her for years with dreams and she's like, oh, it's that. I'm like, what?
Listen, I am bragging, but it also isn't bragging if it's true. Okay. I am the best I know at interpreting dreams. I'm sure there's someone better who I don't know, but of everyone I know, it's me. I'm the winner. Okay. So if you want me to interpret your dream, you have a dream, maybe a recurring dream, and you cannot figure it out, I would like to try, maybe on our next message from the universe, interpreting a couple dreams.
That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yep.
Oh my God. What if this pops off and this is a whole new segment and Rachel just interprets dreams?
This could be a whole other business for
It could
you.
be a whole podcast. My friend Amanda keeps telling me, because she keeps coming to me. This is like the second day in a row she's come to me with a dream, maybe the third day. And every time she's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't know that. I didn't see that. She's like, why aren't you charging for this?
I think you got good practice because your dreams are so crazy.
They are.
That if you want to make any sense of them, you have to
get really good at
kind of philosophical. My dreams are much more linear, so I haven't had to practice on myself as much. Although every once in a while I bring you an interesting one.
People think way
your
too
dreams are
concrete and linear about dreams. Every person dreams in symbols and in metaphor. And if you don't think like that in real life, it's really hard to interpret a dream.
Yeah, that's the language of the unconscious. And it is like interpreting a different language. Your unconscious is not going to use linear logical language like your conscious brain does.
Yeah. So
that would be fun.
I would really enjoy interpreting your dreams. Now, don't make it super long. Like, I cannot read an 800-word essay on your dream. So like, maybe focus on the part that you're most tripped up on. Give me enough context. Just, if you want, you think it sounds really fun, I'll interpret your dream. Email me, email us at contact@clarityofire.com. Put dream in the subject line or something, or like interpret my dream, Rachel, or something, whatever. We'll see it and maybe we'll read it on a future episode.
Okay. And know that you can always ask us questions too for our Dear Rachel segment. So if you've got questions, you've got universe stories, you've got dreams to interpret, you can always shoot us a note and you might hear us talk about your question or read your update on an episode in the future.
Okay, great. So speaking of Dear Rachel, we will see you next Friday for a brand new Dear Rachel. And in the meantime, if you want some Gandalf interpreting your dreams and helping you live your best life energy,
guiding you through your hero's journey
in 2023, if you want someone who is a professional bone collector to help you understand the spirit.
Can I put that on my LinkedIn profile?
No,
I like that title.
Think that would be not great.
Advisable.
No, don't do that. And if you want someone who is an expert at helping you interpret the real struggle that you're going through beyond the surface level details so that you get the outcomes, the commitments, the contracts, the money, the abundance, the love that you want,
hit us up. That's what we're here for.
Okay, great. So clarityonfire.com/coaching or link in show notes for more info. And
next Friday is the last day. And next Friday, we'll also be back with the Dear Rachel.
Okay.
See you then.
Bye.